And hello everyone, welcome back to a new video. So in the last video we talked about Python data types. And in this video we're going to be talking about mathematical functions or operations in Delphi there, in Python. Now of course, we probably all know by now that programming is most of the time math. But just before we get into this, even though you are not good with math, does not mean that you won't be good at programming. Math is I'm not perfect in math, like I'm far from good at it. I didn't even take pure math, and I basically work from my grade 8 math experience. That's all I basically need to do a lot of complicated functions in this. You just need to know the basics of math. So I'm just going to use print to do everything, and you can also do this in variables. So you can do like number equals. So the first one is easy, it's just like 1 plus 1, and we all know that number will now be 2 because plus is probably the easiest thing to know. Yeah. Also you can say like 1 plus 1.9 plus 1, that will give you 2.9. Or you can even go like, instead of 1 you can go 9, then it will give you that value. So yeah, that's plus. But for the rest of the video I'm just going to use it in print, but remember you can't put it inside of a variable. I just feel it's a lot of effort. And then we have minus, of course, so 5 minus 9 will give you -4, and let's say 9,999 minus 2,987, that will give you 7,012. So it's just minus, nothing special about it. Okay, so now let's do times. So let's say we want to have 2 times, let's say 10. That will give you 20. But we can't use x because x is basically a variable. We can say x is equal to 2, for example. So we can't use x. So instead, we use an asterisk. So if we do this, you get 20. And you can also do something like 3 times 10. And you get 30. Or 3 times 0, and you get 0. So yeah, you can times. But also, if you want to do to the power of, let's say it's 2 to the power of 30 to the power of 3, then you get 8, because 2 times 2 is 4, and 4 times 2 is 8. So yeah, that's to the power of. Also, you can write that out as 2 to the power of 3 if you want, because it's to the power of. And we can also do something easy like 5 to the power of 2, not 23. And you can see we get 25 because 5 times 5, that is 25. And then you have 5 times to the power of 9, and it will give you a really big number. So yeah. Then we have divide, which is, let's say, 10 divided by 5, because we don't have a divide symbol on the keyboard itself. We have to use a slash. You can see we get 2.0. Also, a thing that fell away was divide, and yeah, it's basically, yeah, as you can see, it just gives you an integer instead of a double. But this is a Python 2 way of doing things. We don't really use it anymore in Python 3, so you didn't need it anymore. And then of course you have, let's say, 9 divided by 5, and you will get 1.8, or 20 divided by let's say 30 or 40, and then you get 0.5. So yeah. Then you have something a lot of people seem to struggle with, which is the modulo. So let's say we have 9 divided by 5, right? Then we get 1.8. Now if we say 9 modulo 5, we get 4. Now, why is that? When you say 9 minus 5, you get 4. Isn't that interesting? Now, there is a difference. Don't get me wrong, there is a difference. The difference is just, let's say we have a big number like 200, modulo, let's say, 7. Now you get 4 as well. But if you say 200 minus 7, you get 193, so there's definitely a difference. Now, just to make sure I did save it. Yeah, okay. So you do get 4. Now, what happens here? Now, let's quickly also see. If we say 200 divided by 7, you get 28. So if you say 28 times 7, you get 196. Now, isn't that interesting? Like, look at this. When we minus the value 7 from 200, we get 193. And when we times 228, which was basically this that we got here, when we times it by 7, we got 196. Of course, if we times 128.57, we would have we would have obviously gotten a different value or whatnot. But basically, I know the values aren't the same, and this might be a little confusing, but modulo is basically the remainder of things. Remember when you were in primary school, I think, or I don't know what you guys call it in other places, they made you go like this. They say 9 divided by 5, and then you had to divide 9 by 5, and then you got 1, or yes, 4, because this was the rest that stayed left, because you could divide 9 by 5 once, and once you've divided 9 by 5, you basically get 4 left, and you still have to divide by 5, but you can't do that. So then you had a rest of 4, and this is the modulo, the rest, the ones that stays left over before you can divide again. It's just a rest value, you know, like if you divide 9 by 5, you get 1 point whatnot. Let's say 9 divided by 5, you get 1.8. Now that 0.8 is actually the rest value that's left over, because if you go let's say 4 divided by 5, that actually has a value of 0.8, because it's 80% of the 5. So 4 over 5 is 80%. How do I know that? Because 5 times 2 is 10, and 4 times 2 is 8, and 8 over 10, that is the same as saying 80%. So that's where this 8 comes from. Well, when we say modulo, instead of giving us that 8, it gives us this 4. So this would be equal to 0.8, right? So if we said divide, it will give us 0.8. But if we were to say modulo, they will give us 4, because you have 4 here before, you have 4 here. But if we made this 5, you'd have 0. And let's say we made this 6, you'd have 1. Why 1? Let's go again. 5 or 6 minus 5, that gives you 1, right? So if you were to say, yeah, it's just 1. And if you go 7, that will give you 2. 8, that will give you 3. 9, that will give you 4. And once you've hit 10, it will give you 0 again. That is because 5 or 10 divided by 5 gives you 2. Rest 0, because so this would be 2 rest 0, because there is nothing else that has to go into this anymore. It's a very complicated subject, but once you've practiced this, it becomes really, really, really easy to understand. It just needs practicing. But let's continue. If you quite understand what I meant here, feel free to comment in the comment section below, and we will try to help you a bit more. Okay, now we need to do a bit of order of operation. So we know that 2 times 5 plus 2 times 3, for example, we know that that will first, if you know your normal math, it will first times this. So we'll first get 10. It will say 10 plus 2 times 3, which is 6. So then will be 16, right? Now, what we can do is we can actually do this. And what this will do is this will actually first do whatever's inside the brackets first, because math says that anything inside brackets should be done first because it's most important. So do this first. So then we will do this. 2 times, and a 5 plus 2, that's 7 times 3. So now the outcome will change, because 2 times 7, that is equal to 14, and 14 times 3 is, oh gosh, 30, that's 38, 42, I think. I think it's 42, I'm not sure. Let's see. Sorry, I have to save. There we go. What do you mean? There's, oh wait, sorry, I gotta delete this. 42. I was correct. So basically this just says do this first, then do everything inside of it. Of course you can do times in here, you can do divide in here, you know, it's easy. Now for someone like me who is really bad at anything to do with math really, if I want to do something like a bunch of times, like 2 times 5 times 7 times 8 times 9 times 2 plus 5, what I would actually do is I would check out what I want to have times together first, because it doesn't really matter what you times together first. I would actually do this, because this is the same thing. You'd get the same output. So let's say 10,085. If we were to remove this, you get the same output. It just makes it easier to read as well, to use brackets, because brackets is really useful in math. And of course, if you want to change the output, you can always do this, and it will do plus first. See there? You get a much higher value now. Botmas, if you want to remember this. So it's brackets. I don't know what O is. I'm not quite sure what O is. So we can just do whatever is O times times divide, add, subtract. So that's how it works. I think this might actually be Afrikaans, but anyways, it's just brackets, whatever, times, then divide, then add, subtract. This is the order of operations. So it's first going to do the brackets, always the brackets first. Then it's going to do whatever this is, but I don't know what this is. I didn't even think about this. I just do that. So brackets, then it's going to do timing first, then it will do divide, then it will do adding, and then it will do subtracting. So yeah. Thank you all for watching. I hope you all enjoyed and learned something new. See you all in the next video.